Now that our tile's all set, we're ready to fill in all the spaces between the tiles, and this is called grouting. So we'll use a grout that we mix up in a similar way that we mixed up the thin set. So you can use the same drill and same mixing tool and add the grout mixture to water until you get a nice creamy consistency. You'll also be using a rubber grout float to apply the grout into the joints. As I'm showing you here, you apply some grout to the rubber float and then press it into the joints. It's easiest to fill the joints by applying it at an angle. So it presses it into the joints without just pushing it back out again as you work your way around. You can remove any excess grout that's on the surface of the tile by tipping your float at about a 45-degree angle to the surface of the tile. And then basically what you're going to do is scrape off that excess grout. When the tile starts to look hazy, that means the grout is dry enough where you can use a wet sponge to clean off the surface. So get a 5-gallon bucket of clean water and a grouting sponge and work your way at angles across the surface of the tile. Continually rinsing out your sponge so it's nice and clean and going back and removing more of that haze. As you work your way around, if you see some spots that you missed with the grouting, go ahead and grab a little more grout and press it in the opening. Then you can come back later with your sponge and clean it off. If your tile runs all the way up to the ceiling like mine does, you can always take a little grout, put it on the edge of your float, and press it into that opening. Then take your sponge and clean off both the tile and the ceiling. Don't grout the corners or that edge at the top of the tub. We're going to caulk those for a nice watertight joint. Use Teflon tape to attach the tub downspout as well as a shower head. And then follow the directions to attach the trim around the handle for the shower. It's best to use 100% pure silicone to caulk the corners and that joint along the top of the tub. I prefer to run a nice, consistent bead of caulk straight from the gun across the joint and then not run my finger over it to smooth it off. Now, if you have trouble getting it nice and consistent and need to use your finger, then go ahead and wet your finger down with water and run it as evenly as possible over that joint. In the next part of our bathroom remodeling project, we'll move over to the vanity area.